Welcome to Without a Candle. We are your hosts,
Hey guys, I'm Carla.
and I'm Karlie. Let's just jump on in, shall we?
We're here today with Teresa Brandenburg. We met, was that 2020, 2021?
2021.
2021. Now, is that when you moved? Okay, that's later. Never mind. So I know a lot about Teresa, but I'm most thrilled about our relationship. So, I'm always squishy. That's like,
No, I understand. Me too.
okay, too. There's a lot that I know about you and understand about you.
Yeah.
But you'll just explain it better.
I will.
So, well, you usually do. You have a way with words and articulate things very well. So I often appreciate that. So, but see, and even that's tricky because we both believe that we are traveling souls having human experience.
Yes.
So the best that you can in this moment for this conversation's sake, who is Teresa? Who are you? Okay, but you don't have to. Okay, well, okay.
Who am I today? So I'm a lot today.
Yeah.
I am, right?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
am.
Yeah.
But who am I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately.
Okay.
Because so often I'll default to what do I do?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I was I was like a mom, I was just a mom. Then it was like, who the hell am I?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we give so much of ourselves to our children and our family.
And they're just control chills.
And I lost myself for a long time.
Yeah.
So, like, as I approach 50, I'm still wondering who am I? But I'm learning that I'm coming into this sort of feeling of, this might sound woo-woo and hokey, I don't know. But I feel like an embodiment of energy. That's what I like to lean into right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Because, I was so funny how things synchronize.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So like this morning, I don't know, I think I was blow drying my hair. And I was thinking about how I'm, going to be 50 in February and how I'm in this second half of my life. And I was thinking about phases of life, right? And how this is like my second half, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go another section after this section of life, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking about, well, it's a lot because I have to check my book this morning. Love this training this morning for restorative, and I just finished that section, and I love it so much. Oh my gosh, the restorative yoga is just so. It's so beautiful. So it has really got me thinking a lot about like the embodiment of energy, the phases of life, how wisdom is acquired, right? Like some belief systems think of like the crone. Yeah. And I was thinking about that this morning and I'm like, well, I guess technically people would consider me sort of in my crone era, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's cool, whatever. But then for someone else, that crone era could come younger, right? Depending on where they are in their phase of life for this particular life experience, right?
Yeah. So based on wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom that's acquired. And even in like yoga philosophy, they look at life like there are certain phases of life where, this phase is for like say whatever you do in your childhood. Then comes your like they consider it like family time and devotion to family and to work and blah blah blah. And then comes the period in our life when we study spirituality and we work towards or become enlightened. But then I got thinking and I'm like, yeah, but some people don't live as long. And so maybe their phases of life are more condensed, right? Or, I don't know. It just kind of got me thinking about things. And so it's like, I don't know how I got here, but who am I? I don't know. I'm an embodiment of energy. So the energy just unfolds how it unfolds within each person, right? It unfolds in me and unfolds in you. And it's just so beautiful and individual. Yeah. That's just where I am.
I mean, that's very, and so all of our conversations are just like that, like general health conduct, that kind of thing, especially, with us, right? Because I feel like there's just know your audience, right? So I know with you guys, we can talk about some of those deeper level, higher vibration things,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Just the things that the general population would scratch their head and just be confused. And
Right.
I was there not too long ago, honestly,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
So then,
I still go there. You never know what it is.
absolutely. In this season for this conversation, since you worded that so beautifully, who am I versus what do I do? If they haven't put the pieces together yet, you're a yoga teacher or a yoga instructor or however you want to teach your program. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So then what else do you do? And I know that list is long. It's like asking us what we do. Yeah. So you really enjoy crafting.
I
Like,
do.
that is
You-
the
I
season.
feel like that is still part of my yoga.
Absolutely.
Like for me, okay, it's like the Karate Kid movie, right?
Yeah.
When, like in the new one, when he tells Will Smith's son, he's like, all of life is kung fu, right?
Mhm.
How you take off your jacket is kung fu. How we eat our food is kung fu. Well, for me, that's kind of how I think of yoga. And I've only just realized that it's okay and I'm allowed to do all the things if I want to.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing one and then suddenly I'm like, yeah, this doesn't feel right now. It's okay to let it go. Because for so long I would berate myself about that and be like, oh, I'm being fickle or whatever. No, there's a season for all things, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. That string almost got us. So anyway, yes, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like when I'm, say, doing embroidery or braiding all those fabric strips you gave me, that's still very meditative, and sometimes all these little thoughts come into my head that can just kind of go in and out as they want to without me latching onto anything. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of,
I'm glad you shared that too, because I feel like a lot of people have, not that it's wrong, but a misconception of what all meditation can be, right? It's not just one, be still, be quiet, be beheaded,
right.
Kind of process for meditation.
Oh, yeah.
So I love that you shared that.
And I used to think that. Go ahead.
And I want to add to that. You mentioned the misconception of meditation. There's such a misconception with yoga now, like yoga, that people don't realize that it's actually a practice fundamentally and not an exercise.
Oh my gosh,
They complement each other, but you do, when you have it in spiritual practice, it's very meditative. It's very liberating and very helpful within the journey because you're able to push all of that stuff physically, mentally, emotionally, not just mentally when you're in that
energy and all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always remind my students that Baddha Konasana, which is a seated pose, is one of the oldest asanas out there. It's one of the old. They didn't do all of these fancy modern warrior poses and all of that. It was all sitting, and it was all about Judith Lassiter talks about how we step out of the mind thinking and we get into our bodiness, right? So the asana allows us to embody the practice, right? Which helps to calm the mind. And so that asana that we do is simply, it's important, obviously. But it is to prepare us to be able to sit still to achieve meditation. And that's something else I think sometimes there's a little bit of a misconception is people think, I have to practice meditation. I have to clear my mind. No. That what did we call the chitta vritti is going to keep going, right? That little monkey mind is going to do its thing. It's like a little child in there that's just like, blah, 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 blah. But our job is to sit and be and just not latch onto it. Just let it
not
go.
to have a fixate, not to
go down that rabbit hole in your head. Because what I've noticed, what restorative especially has shown me is, and through my own meditative practices, is like as soon as I latch onto a thought, I feel the tension in my body, right? And but if we can just let it flow through or come back to something that grounds us, maybe rubbing our fingers or just feeling the earth below, it brings us back into that moment and then we can let go again. It's just so
couple nice big deep breaths.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's only, we've only mentioned a couple hats, already. The filmmaker of your love of crafting in that meditative state. The yoga teacher. For a moment, I wanted to put after that the yoga teacher trainer. So I don't know if you put that out there yet. So maybe that's the next. Because I also feel like you really appreciate the learning process.
Oh yeah.
Right. So if if it fits, then why not, right?
I'm anything. I am a
Yeah.
lifelong learner,
Mhm.
forever.
Mhm.
Always.
I'm glad most of us are. Yeah,
We're
for
all on
sure.
the same page with
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
But what else?
I'm a tattooer.
Okay.
I love tattooing.
Yeah.
I really love it.
Yeah.
It is so fun. I find that I really love the small ones.
Yeah.
I love to sit
The
down with
little
someone,
things.
have our little moment,
Mhm.
and then, they go, they're happy, they do their
A little
happy.
burst of sunshine.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes, I
Mhm.
sat down with a friend of mine that I went to school with and did this little honeysuckle with her new grandbaby's
saw
name.
that.
Mhm.
And just having a moment with her was just so lovely.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm like,
love that.
I could just do things like this with people and do it in a way that's like not all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a big energy
Yeah.
exchange, and you're sitting for 4 hours or so
Mhm.
with someone. That's
Yeah.
and you're touching them the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like us trying to do Reiki for 4 hours.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, not that I wouldn't, but
Oh, I get it.
yeah.
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 But it is
Right.
it's
Yeah.
a and for them too, I
Mhm.
imagine. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've recently been being more and more aware of the tattooers that couple it with a spiritual practice. So like the Reiki practitioners or create the tattoo based on like their reading and their energy for the day. It's like a whole practice.
Yes.
And I can see
I
you
have
doing
been thinking about that. Oh my gosh. Oh,
We say that a lot too.
yeah. I was thinking about that. And like with the yoga retreat that
Mhm.
have planned, like maybe coming up with a few little designs, and that could be an option for someone,
Yeah.
like to sort of commemorate their retreat and that moment, and
Yeah.
because it really is like sacred expression,
Mhm.
in so many forms. Like
Yeah.
what you all do that is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then like and someone is in their yoga practice and then they want to extend that to being on themselves, like I have one of my favorite yoga sutras tattooed on me as a
Yeah.
reminder. I just think that's so cool.
I love that.
And so, adding to the arts, you decided this year to offer henna, which was another journey, discovery, and because for a moment you were unsure, because you honor
Yes.
the process, you honor the sacred space of that.
Absolutely.
So, you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yes, because the first time I ever experienced anything with Hannah
Mhm.
and Mindy was at my friend's wedding in New York.
Okay.
And so she had this like most
Beautiful.
elaborate, like
Yeah.
Mindy done on her arms for her wedding, right? So that was like my first experience with it.
Mhm.
And so to me, that seemed like a very
And that was a
sacred-
cultural thing,
Yes,
correct?
100%. Yes,
Yes.
yes. Rupal is what,
Mhm.
I guess.
I mean,
Yeah.
My bad.
was that
My
a name?
friend.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. And most people will.
Yes,
will know you're
she
fine.
wouldn't
Yeah.
care.
Okay.
But she had her Mindy done, and it was just, and so, and it was done in a private space, like
Mhm.
a very sacred kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And so and then like you go on vacation, you see all these kind of things everywhere, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about
Yeah.
this. I wasn't like judgmental about it.
Right.
I was just like, I don't know how
it
this
feels
fits
to
with me and my
Mhm.
heart, right? And then after talking and thinking about it for years, like,
So that's that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you asked me a couple years ago, right?
So yeah,
a couple
well, and then more recently, I think too.
Yeah.
Maybe this year. I don't remember.
Maybe
Time and space.
And then it just kind of, that's something I do though. I'll like think about something or I'll dive a little into something,
Mhm.
do a little, wait a while, watch. It's kind of like
Right.
when
Yeah,
thought of
absolutely.
something. And then I just kind of wait and see how it sits in, how does
Mhm.
it settle in? And then if it feels okay, because I think if you do something with respect, with reverence,
Mhm.
and with honor of where it comes from,
Mhm.
I think that's a different level.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that respect thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe that's a tiny tidbit that you can add, because here you offer for the kids.
Yeah.
Because down at the shop, kids.
Yeah.
It's
16
and
and
up.
up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So littles can't be in there,
No,
right?
right.
So maybe tying that into the sacredness and the history of it, maybe
Yeah.
you offer a little blurb.
Right.
In a way, a
Mhm.
child's mind, that it
Yeah.
is a more historic practice than what we would think.
Right.
And that you can make your henna.
Yes. I do. Sometimes I do use repackage. It
Okay.
depends on what's going on.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, I do make
Yeah.
my own as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it. So what else? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Karlie.
So when you grew up in Northern Kentucky,
Mostly.
mostly,
Yeah.
so
I moved a lot, but all around.
yeah.
But it was-
So from my understanding of your journey, a lot in Northern Kentucky, a lot in Cincinnati, but a lot rooted here,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when through your journey did spirituality start spiking you a little bit? Because we live in the Bible Belt, and I know that like even if we experienced or had some thoughts, we tend to internalize that for a long time.
Right.
When did you have your first "there's more" moment, and when did you start feeling I'm not gonna hide anymore?
Oh boy. So when I knew there was something more, I was a little girl living in the trailer park in Silver Grove, Kentucky.
Okay.
And I was in the back, in my yard. It wasn't backyard. It was a little dirt yard.
Okay.
It was,
Okay.
yeah. And I remember seeing this little bee down on clover. And I don't know, I was just clover, maybe stuff like that in the yard. And I saw this bee and I started petting this bee. And the bee just stayed there.
Okay.
And I was like, you know, because everyone's like, you should be afraid, you know, don't mess with
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But that little moment right there was something that was like, okay, this maybe what I'm always told isn't
What?
accurate.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a truth. Maybe
Yeah.
it's, you know. And then, but I mean, that was just a little tiny tidbit. But then when I really started to get into spirituality was when I was a teenager here.
Okay.
And I was trying to meditate, even though I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know how to name.
Yeah, I didn't have any
practice.
I was just like, I'm gonna go sit in the snow and see if I can like sit in the snow and let it not bother me. I don't know why. I just thought I would try it, you know.
Okay.
And then I would have candles, and I at that point though I was going through a really rough time, and you know, as a teenager.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yes.
so I thought I had to clear my mind, and there was a lot of I don't know how to say, like unrest in my family situation and such. And so a lot of that kind of went dark. Does that make sense? So it took me kind of on this like rebellious path, which was a little dark, you know? And so from that, maybe it was necessary for me, you know, maybe seeds are planted in the dark.
Yeah.
But it's later where I learned that a practice can be anything. It depends on who's practicing, where they are mentally. That can vary day to day, right? And I think that it has been in this later part of my life, post 30s, because it's tumultuous to me.
You're still there.
I hated my 30s. Okay.
I quickly got
Age.
It's a huge shift. It's a huge shift. Yeah.
I don't think that's talked about enough.
No.
I think we talk about the teen years and the 20s, and we're figuring ourselves out, and then the 30s, nobody gives a shit about the 30s.
I feel like the 30s and 50s people just kind of like fall off. They like forget. They drop from like the 20s to the 50s.
Yes.
Like there's some top right now.
So, like 30s are frowned upon. Like everybody counts, and you know, no one celebrates the 30s.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, I'm 30. I'm old. I'm like,
Yeah, and it's not
No.
you're
No.
so right.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, but then I think in that area, when I'm still trying to be so hard, I think I equated strength with hardness, right? And all that's fear based, right? And
Unfortunately.
I think that it's in my 40s when I'm like, okay, you know, there's strength and softness. And I'm learning that through my yoga because, you know, firm foundation, soft, openness, expansion, right? It's only when we feel secure and safe that we can expand and open ourselves, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Because we let that ego
Yes.
fall to the wayside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that ego is there to protect us.
Yeah.
Right. So necessary. I don't want to hate
How
on the ego.
much do you put all of that on society, being taught to be strong and like to wear all the hats and do all the things?
That's a lot of it. 100%. Yeah. Especially in the West, I think. We have this whole like production for use idea, which is from an old movie that's kind of stuck in my head. It's like, you know, and I think like a lot of it still is oppression and women because I've been thinking about this, like things that I really love to do, you know, quilting, embroidery, and crafting, and cooking, or baking, or whatever, right? It's so it's been frowned on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, that's not important. That's in the house. Women should be out. We should be working. We should be doing this and doing that, of course,
Yeah.
because, well, by God, you know,
Yeah.
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 Oh, I get it.
you know, but it's like,
So somewhere along the
So-
way, taking care of the home, but doing those things you enjoy, you feel taking care of the home sometimes, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Became a job, became a chore
yeah,
versus just being nurturing.
yeah. It's such a beautiful spiritual
Yeah.
practice. You
Yeah.
know, if you like, I think I've told you when I was cleaning my house right before fall started, and I, made the cleaner, and I really thought about cleansing my house as I was cleaning it, like clearing out all that stagnant energy and giving love to it. Yeah, because
But it's not a chore.
it's not a chore when you think about it like that.
It's an act of kindness.
It's and it's like, I've moved so many times in my life. I've never had a house that I can make a home.
Yeah.
So every time I'm like doing a house, it's like, well, if I'm fixing it up, I'm fixing it up for the market, But for once, I get to fix it. Yeah. So I'm finally giving love to this house.
And that's a
So
different season for you too,
Yeah.
isn't it?
yes, 100%.
Do you feel like moving into that, it goes back to some of the emotional, I'm being careful with words so that way you can answer how you are ready to today.
Mm-hmm.
There was a season that you weren't sure if that was home,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, do you feel like that season and that need, to kind of move and kind of be away, did that also come out of like habit and maybe fear and all of those things? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anytime something gets super uncomfortable for me, I tend to want to be like, let's just go. Right.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I tattooed the sutra on me, which says, by contentment, supreme joy is gained. And something else that I've learned is, who said it? Oh, Diane Keaton, right? They were sharing some quotes when she had passed. And I saw this quote that she had shared right after she filmed a scene in this movie. And she said, we spend our lives building a house only to realize, and one day we realize the home is in ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and that just really resonated. So I wrote that down,
Yeah.
Maybe I just stay. Maybe it's like, okay, so I can share about sobriety journey.
Absolutely.
So like that was another way to run without going anywhere, right? Just using those 2.5 glasses of wine to escape a little bit, just step back to numb my brain.
Yeah.
And now, I remember I was coming for a Reiki session with you. So of course the night before I'm like, I'm not going to have any alcohol because I respect the practice.
I
Reiki.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I did all of that, fasted the day before, all those things. And then I came to Reiki and you had said something to me that really resonated with me. And I was like, oh my God, so that is what it is, right? So I have not had wine since the day before that since the day before the Reiki, because what you had said to me, sort of
Sparked.
yeah, sparked, well, validated what I've been thinking. Okay. And so then my dog passed. Baby. But then I'm like, no, I'm not going to be. I want to remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my cat passed away. And I, no, I don't, those tendencies to be like, oh God, I just wanted to supply or whatever.
Let me just unplug.
Let me unplug. Yeah. And then my dad, and the same thing. So instead of thinking about, I want to do that to cope with it, right? Another way to run.
Right.
I'm like, no, I want to sit with this because this is life.
Yeah.
And I can't keep running because what I'm running from is me.
Yeah.
And I'm always here.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, there I am.
Those events are always happening around us too.
Yeah.
Right? And so I remember after your father, right?
Yeah.
You had posted just a very simple that you were sitting. And then today's practice was about, I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but it wasn't about all of the asanas, right? It was about sitting with yourself.
Yes.
Right. And so, I don't practice sobriety the same way you do, right? But a conscious effort is that I don't allow alcohol Um, to be something that I use to celebrate or when I'm sad or all of those things.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I truly like a glass of cider
Right.
with my food.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Especially if they have really good cider. So
Yeah.
um but I appreciate that because again you're wording with it and that your acknowledgement that there is a baseline situation, right? There is a baseline situation that's creating the desire for the escape,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And I blame that on society too, right? Like I don't know how much I can blame on society,
Yeah.
but we are taught to suppress emotions. We're
Right.
taught that if we experience these things, it is a weakness,
Mhm.
right? So this being vulnerable, um, I, I watched a long time ago. Brown, her last name's Brown.
Brene
and
Brown.
TED Talk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that, it was awful. Yep. Yep. Yep.
She was how I started my journey.
So
Brene.
it almost felt like I was allowed to take off this armor,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That I was allowed to show expression.
Mhm.
Not that my face lets me hide much anyway, right? But that I was allowed to be real with people.
Yeah.
And if someone truly stopped today and looked me in the eyes and said, "How are you?" that I could answer that honestly
Yeah.
versus being like, "I'm fine."
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
sometimes it may just be like, I could use some coffee or I could use some tea, right? Like, you don't have to be okay.
Exactly.
And some things in the moment that feel like the end of the world may be the end of the world as we know it, but you're still allowed to process that,
Yeah.
Exactly.
you know? So,
Once you
man,
realize that day to day, you're going to grieve something, and it may not even be day to day, it could be week to week, and you truly let yourself be mindful and be in those practices to allow yourself to ride that wave.
Yeah.
What comes after that is you no longer hold that physically.
Right.
You no longer hold that mentally. It may still pop up, right? And it may still be uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable.
Right.
And you can take away when you add vulnerability into your practice, you take away that shame element that you give yourself as well.
Absolutely.
You're not shaming yourself into, I don't do enough, or I'm not good enough, or why did I say that they didn't want to know? Well, they asked, so I'm going to answer it.
There you go.
You know, I'm not going to burden myself and hold
that
that in.
goes back to knowing your audience, right? That's the deliverance and discernment
Yeah.
on deliverance.
Absolutely.
But man, it's a lot already.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy?
Okay.
So, you became one of our practitioners here earlier this year, like early spring. How have you felt your journey with that has been going?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay.
I enjoy teaching him very
Good.
much. It's wonderful.
I appreciate it.
And so, you've taken a short hiatus. Obviously, your journey needed that, and you are excited to come back in November, and you have some changes coming. You want to talk about that?
Well, let's see. What I've had a few.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm going to be doing. I'm sorry. I'm so totally blank. That's
Like,
okay. Give me something.
I think it was a series. You're scooping up a geek, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's only a series.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is I want to be a little bit more intentional with the classes.
Okay.
Because I feel like if it's just labeled as gentle yoga or it's just labeled as what I call the spirit flow, people might not really understand what's involved with that. So like I'm giving each one sort of a theme.
So that kind of like our gatherings.
Yeah, it's like the gathering. So then people kind of know what's coming. And like someone might see a gentle yoga like coming up, it's for balance and strength. Well, a lot of people might not even think of gentle yoga as being a strength building exercise. They think it's just too easy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I get it.
You know, and then like the spirit flow, one of them is for the thoracic spine. Right. So we're going to focus on like heart openers, look at the back bends and things like that, because so much of life is like this.
As I say here,
Everybody does it. We all do it. And so that is sort of like opening up in the chest and doing these, different things. And then also adding in, and my students asked me to do this, so I'm
Okay.
so excited. I'm offering the Sacred Stones Yoga Nidra once a month with the gentle yoga.
Nice.
So for people that don't know what Yoga Nidra means,
Yeah.
will you share a little bit about that?
So
I'm
yoga,
excited.
yoga Nidra is what's considered the yoga of sleep,
Mhm.
although you're not asleep.
Yeah.
You're just in such a state of deep relaxation that you get sometimes better rest than when you're asleep, right?
Right.
So if you ever wake up from sleep and you're like, I feel like
Yeah.
I haven't slept
Mhm.
at all. Well, Yoga Nidra, you're lying down in a comfortable position, fully supported.
Mhm.
I even encourage them to cover up with blankets, use bolsters, raise their feet, whatever they want to do, whatever makes them feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And then you stay that way for the duration of the class. And then I walk you through a meditation. So it's sort of, there's where you're tuning in, right? Arriving. I always think of it as arriving
Mhm.
in the
I like that
space.
verbiage. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes we're
Mhm.
not there, right?
Right.
I've been in a whole class before where I don't feel like I'm there
Yeah.
sometimes. It's just being human. So you arrive, and then I walk you through the different areas of the body, and then it goes into breath work, and then sort of a visualization meditation,
Okay.
and then I slowly bring them back out.
Yeah.
But what I add in also is the hot stones. So they love that. So I do hot stones and then I do a cold stone on your third eye, which is like an interesting sensation.
Yeah.
And that sort of, they really love that. So I'm like,
That's
okay.
awesome.
And I also use the hot stones in other classes, but
Yeah.
that's during Shavasana.
Okay.
But yeah, the Yoga Nidra was such a hit that I'm like, so like, please do this every month. I'm like, okay, we'll do one class a month.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome.
And then I'm also offering restorative yoga, but that one is a little bit different. And that one's like super small
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah.
But for now, I would maybe eventually like to possibly add that.
Yeah.
So this is more for like planning for us. It doesn't really matter because we're open to you just coming in doing whatever you
Yeah.
do.
Just
I
choose your day.
often wonder though, and this is something in my own practice, is sometimes to appreciate all the pieces, 60 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yes,
like
so-
to do 75 usually.
Okay. Got it.
Most of the time, 75.
And is that 75 minutes start to finish? Is that 75 minutes in practice?
Now that is start to finish. So, I mean, the whole practice itself is usually an hour and five. But with restorative, it's 90 minutes. Because
And that's what I was
you
thinking.
have to have.
So if you want
2 hours would be optimal.
absolutely.
But some people, you say 2 hours, it's like,
What?
Yeah. Meet them where they are, right?
Absolutely. And so on that same note, there are days that you offer yoga here where we're not open.
Yes.
So if you need those 2 hours and if you need to leave the door open and sometimes you know that not every person has 2 hours in them.
Right.
So they can be positioned close to the
Right.
door.
Yeah.
And they can excuse themselves as needed. Because some of the practice, while honoring time and space, is that we eventually learn that what goes on around us doesn't affect us.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And I know
always
that's
just say leave before Shavasana.
absolutely, yes. So if you need to escape, well,
Yeah.
I don't like that word, but if you need to excuse yourself, then that's
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely.
Right. I wish that door was easier to get open. And that's okay. We're on podcast. Sorry, squirrel. But I was planning ahead for you, right? Because I really appreciate restorative or those yin style yoga and yoga nidras, but for extended time.
Yes.
And so you mentioned we're not asleep, but it's a very deep, relaxed state.
Yes.
Some people may drift off to sleep.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yep.
So if your breath changes and you go there, then that's okay. Don't let that be a fear
Right.
of, and I often joke when that would happen, is that, if you fall asleep, then just lock the door on your way out. Right. Yeah. Don't be scared or whatever. But I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you in that season.
Thank you.
How do you, because it has been something I think we've all talked about, is in a small community like Indiana, and the next part told me shitty. Often not everyone but it comes with a level of uneducatedness and small-mindedness
Yeah.
and ignorance. And when I use the word ignorance, it isn't to be demeaning
No, no.
or rude,
Right.
but
You'll have to know. And if you're just exposed to it, there's a level of ignorance.
so
Absolutely.
even though we're not in this practice to make a shit ton of money, it still has to have value for us.
Yeah.
As practitioners, like
Yeah.
we still have to know that our time and knowledge and practice is of value,
Valuable.
right?
Mhm.
And to have that reciprocated is tricky.
Yes.
But it's not just monetarily; it's showing up to practice with respect in a timely manner, if at all possible, right?
Mhm.
So, what are some things that you can say and share about adding that value to our time share? Because, I mean, not only are we sharing with each other, but when we go to class, I'm choosing to share myself with you.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so what's some words of wisdom?
That is something I actually struggle with,
Okay.
to be honest with
Yeah.
you. So funny. Yesterday,
Okay.
okay, I was actually thinking about this because, you know, valuing having other people look, okay, so I struggle sometimes with, like, I will have knowledge on something, but then it's like I have this old part of myself who still sometimes, or I don't know if I can, I'm in a transitional, but I would feel like, does it have value? And which translate to, do I have value? Am I worthy? Which goes
Yeah.
all the way down to I am not worthy, which is that root chakra issue.
Right.
And so I'm learning, and let me keep. Sorry, this is like,
That's a lot.
it's just a lot because I was literally thinking about this yesterday, and I struggle sometimes with like putting a price on something. Because how do you put a price on something that in and of itself is kind of invaluable?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
How do you put a price on that?
Right.
And also realizing making something accessible, right? Because I'm really pretty passionate about that.
Yeah.
I want it to be accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
But I also am kind of tired of sacrificing myself constantly. And not and also I give this advice to others all the time. Literally said it to someone yesterday because they were talking about a certain thing that they had purchased, and the person's like, well, I only paid this much for it, and so I'm only going to sell it for this much. And I'm like, no, you need to value your work. You need to put the right price on it. You know what I mean? And value the industry or the craft that you're in as well. And then I'm like, wait, why didn't I say that so easily to you, but I can't say that to myself,
Yeah.
because it is that just so that it is the shame factor. It really is. And it's, for me, it's the root and it's my sacral stuff going on, right? And learning to stand in my own being, stand in my own power, whatever you want to call it. Realizing your self-worth, realizing the value of what you do, what you have to offer, and the knowledge that you have acquired. Because when we value it ourselves, the world mirrors that back to us, right?
Yeah.
And learning myself that I can give with love, I can give intuitively, but that there needs to be an energy exchange, right? Because we can't constantly give and give and give and give, or how are we going to refill, And I think also something I'm learning is when we constantly give something for free or at a reduced rate constantly, people start to devalue it.
Right.
Then this other person offers the same thing, or maybe not as valuable. Thank you. And it's this much, and so they think it's more valuable because it has this price. Like even in the real estate market, for example, I've seen where people price a house, it doesn't sell, they raise the price itself.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh, you would think it would go the opposite, but no, it's strange.
tell my mom that little tiny
Yeah,
thing.
you never know, right?
Yeah. And so let's brainstorm after, because in the past I have put out the option for people to do a waiver of sorts,
Right.
right? So if they truly wanted to come to a class and they truly were willing to commit, because a lot of people pay and they don't want to show up, right? Like they think they do. I did that recently
I've done it before.
with the class, right? That I've signed up for the whole thing, paid for the whole thing, and I decided this is not what I thought it was, and I don't want to take the time to do that anymore.
Right.
So there's that little tiny tidbit, because in those moments, the time put aside for that, I could use on more personally more valuable situations.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So we, waivers, so if we truly want to show up, if we truly want to do the things, cost should not hinder in some situations.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I
for
agree.
sure.
Now, if that person is willy-nilly spending, all kinds of else, and they just don't want to spend their investment money here,
Right.
then that's not my problem. That's
Right.
not my business, right?
Right.
And I don't mean here, just in a space.
Yeah,
I mean here, yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some fine lines there, because on the other hand, a gift or a waiver, or however you want to word that, is a gift, right? So that's advocate. At some point, it's none of my business.
Right.
Right. Like that is their karmic debt to deal with. That's their whatever. But as a human, I'm like, what do you mean? You're taking away from my budget because you didn't want to put your investment here, but you can still put your investment there.
Yeah.
Yes. So as a human, that sucks.
Yes. It does.
And it's more than that.
I've had that.
I know it's none of my business. Oh,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like, when something has been given, and then they're like, oh yeah, well, we can get this, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like they turn around and go buy the same thing or similar from someone else. I'm like, what the hell?
Right.
But then that's when I kind of got thinking about things, and I'm like, well, do I truly do? I mean, I see the value of what I do. I practice every day, right? But for some reason with me, when it comes to finances, and I'm working on this, there's some sort of there's something, right? And I don't know if it's some sort of like a block, but I'm working with it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it has anything to do with them for my particular situation. I think it has to do with me and something I have to personally work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the value, I am learning that. I've learned some from you with you saying I had certain non-negotiables, and that's just the way it is. And I'm like, I love that. That is so good. We should have certain non-negotiables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the trickiest thing with our talking about this three, the shop, your business, it's a lot to do with the area we live in. We want to bring new, we want to bring in education, we want to bring in what we value and understand. That would be good for the collective, but our community hasn't risen up to that. So I don't want to use the word standard, but that
Awareness.
yeah.
Education is so critical on something.
Yeah, and you can only educate so much. And if they're not in a season to really retain that education, they're still missing the mark. We're still missing our clientele. And so where's that fine line, that balance? Right?
There's a theory on that, and I use the word theory loosely. The same concept with some ancient text, right? And like the Bible and the Hindu text. That those that could understand a deeper level of understanding. I know that's a lot, but that they're so like for us, it's a lot about the Bible, but maybe that's because what we can comprehend, right? We as a collective, right? We can read those words, we can understand those things. Maybe not the secondary teaching of that, but on the surface level. Whereas the Bible, I butchered that, right? It takes more attention. It takes more digging. What are some other texts related to the Vedas? The Vedas. Okay. The Vedas. And then
shops.
And then there's others that are the spiritual text, right? I probably shouldn't use air quotes, but that the region or the area of the world that got those were based on their option to understand and comprehend.
Absolutely.
And to digest.
Yeah.
So it's not the same, but it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
It's like this little piece of us. There's a few that are
Already
ready
have
to
that.
receive. Yeah, but then there's the majority stuff.
So in the beginning of the podcast, you had mentioned how we're traveling souls on a human experience. Well, you got to think of like we're all obviously in a human experience right now, but where are they at in that soul journey? And if that means that in this human life, this human experience, your soul is not ready to unlock any of that, your soul's not ready to unlock that. And even if you keep reading all the education we put out there and it's still not clicking, well, that just means that your soul isn't ready for that.
And I just simply say sometimes what sit with you, and what doesn't, and let it be.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Take what serves you, leave what doesn't. Right?
Absolutely.
So as business owners on the other side of us knowing, because we have some of those pieces unlocked and we're trying to educate what we know, we need to also understand that it's never us.
Right.
It's never us.
Right.
It's their journey.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because like we want you to be enlightened too.
But that's another thing I've been thinking about too. Because for me, some of the things from here up, not from here. I always struggle with the parts. Right. But from here up was okay.
Yeah.
But for me, it was being in the body was difficult. Being, that I'll use the word sensual, right? Living embodiment, right, was difficult. Standing in my own power was difficult unless I went to the whatever, right? Which it was a season. And then like opening my heart and trusting was and still is sometimes very challenging for me. So that's just something else to think about is like maybe some people, because, like we've talked about so many times, it's not linear.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like the DNA or like the way our blood flows, because it's like growth is, you know what I mean? And it comes back down and it goes up and it swirls and it swirls and it does all the things. And it's like even time itself is not linear. Sometimes I'll still go back to myself in a moment. If I am feeling it in my body, it is real and it is happening. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
If my mind is stuck in a loop of something that happened 20 years ago, then it is real and it is happening for my energetic body. And I just take myself now with what I know and I go there in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but like I'll go to that girl. I'll just imagine myself there as an adult in that moment. Yeah. Like softening things that maybe need softened. Maybe giving a hug where a hug is needed. Right. And I even told my mother this, she, when we talk about something, I'm like, Mom, just go back there. She's like,
yeah, so that's one of the meditations, kind of sort of one of the guided meditations that the conversation spirit is taking a moment to go back. It's usually to go back to a person.
Right.
But people, places, and things, right?
And if you can imagine yourself, you can imagine whoever you believe in.
Absolutely.
Imagine that Jesus is there giving you whatever the situation is, a hug or the softness or the love or the light or whatever it is.
So isn't that distance Reiki?
Right. And see, that's something. Okay, so I'm a Reiki. I'm a Reiki too.
Yeah.
But for me, I've struggled with it from the moment I did it. And to be honest, I don't even know how I ended up where I was to get it.
Yeah.
It just happened. Yeah. Right. And I'm like, but I've not really ever used it except for my family. Because I'm like, well, I was already doing stuff before I got attuned. So then I get, and then I'm like, well, is it this or is it not? And do I call it this and do I not? And what not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and all it's up to you.
I know.
Right?
But see, so you helped me with this because we talked about how you both have your own different ways of doing things. And I had only known one. Okay. Until I came to you and I was like, wow, that was totally different. Yeah. And then we talked about it and you're like, well, mine's different. And I'm like, oh. So we teach why community is so good.
Yeah. So the brainstorming is power. Yeah. So we teach traditional Usui Reiki, traditional techniques.
Yeah.
But then I also teach and believe that if I'm in that spirit led practice
Mm-hmm.
and I'm guided to do something, am I going to revert to staying on that path or am I going to do what I'm told?
Right.
Right. Does that
Yep.
make sense?
Absolutely.
Don't discredit your Reiki practice the same way I wouldn't discredit my practice as a child, like my premonitions,
Yes.
before I knew they had names.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so energy is energy is energy. Yes.
Yes.
So just because you didn't know I had a name
Right.
doesn't mean you haven't been doing it.
Right.
Right. And you get to choose whether that
Yeah.
is your truth or not. Right.
You sound like
So-
my Reiki master.
Oh,
It's like, we already feel it. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
getting already do, right? So yeah, the new teachings.
Yeah.
The new
I
teachings.
recently had a conversation with somebody. I won't say who it is,
Okay.
but I don't think they would care. Either way, we were talking about how when this person does, he's around Reiki healers or even massage therapists, people that know how to move energy,
Mhm.
whether they have proper training or not. He said he always knows because his palms get sweaty.
yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting because he's like, I don't have to know their name. I could be walking them in the store and just get that feeling in my hand. And I look at them and like, I just know who it is. I just
That's
know
cool.
that they are. So even if you don't realize it, other people around you know. And so like your Reiki master already knew before you did, right? Like
So
she
strange.
had that. Yeah, it's interesting.
I was told to do
Yeah.
it by Miss Jerry.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, what the hell is Reiki? Right.
Yeah.
She's like, it doesn't matter. Go do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yeah. So it was a
Yeah.
crazy journey. So we've covered a lot. Like,
Yeah,
I might have episode 1 and episode 2 in by now. I don't even know. But it's great when you can enjoy the fellowship.
Yes.
And collaborate a little bit on the side there. That you do lose track of time, that you are enjoying the energy. And
So before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to share that we haven't touched
oh, yeah,
on? Okay. So why don't you go ahead and tell us properly, because we skipped it.
I have one quick question. Okay, one question. So if someone were to ask you a question, actually, how did I want that with you? What's something you want people to know that you don't get asked about?
But I don't get asked about. Good question.
Okay, and we can save that for later.
Okay. Yeah.
So you wanted her to share.
Yeah. So probably share your business.
Okay.
How people can find you.
Okay.
And any clothing things you want to say.
Okay. So, I don't know. My name is Teresa.
Okay.
Teresa.
Okay.
When I was little, they called me Teresa. So
Oh,
that's perfect. My business is the Tattooing Yogini, and you can just find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm also on TikTok, but that's more like silly fun
Okay.
things. But
And you have a website?
I have a blog. I changed it because Wix sucks. And I was like, I don't need all of this. And this is
Yeah.
just taking up way more of my time. So I have my blog, and that is my focus, my blog. But you can find that from my social media. I have everything linked there. I also have a free 7-day, what I call my free flow
Okay.
program. So it's on there. You get 7 days of yoga, and then also a recipe book for like people who are interested in sober living and such. There's like recipes for mocktails. There's a little bit of my personal journey, but it's all right there in the link, and you can just do all 7 days, whatever.
Perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
And you tattoo out of where?
Pie Street Tattoo
Okay.
here in Cynthiana.
And you practice yoga out of
Here.
Okay.
Well, that's a great word.
and yes, you have your studio at your house. So
My little teeny tiny studio. It only houses 2 people.
Hey,
that is worth it. I love
the biggest thing that people miss about the original space was that it only held 4 people for yoga.
I remember my class there. That was so fun.
Yeah.
So,
I loved it. It was me and another lady.
yeah.
I loved it.
Oh,
It was cozy. It was so cozy. It was such a cute space.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. We needed this. You missed the fellowship and the
okay.
Right, guys. So that wraps up another episode of Without a Candle with Karlie and Carla. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.